Welcome to the Visions Project, leveraging Gemini for automated insurance reporting and financial integration. The challenge is manual data processing, specifically handling complex monthly invoice reports from two distinct insurance providers with varying data structures. This leads to pain points like inconsistent spreadsheet organization and strict formatting for financial software imports. Step 1 is automated file architecture. The goal is to establish a standardized, organized storage system in Google Drive. The script creates a primary Visions folder, generates subfolders for each month, and populates them with a blank template. Step 2 focuses on data formatting and structuring. Due to complex import requirements, financial software needs 23 rows of data per employee, each assigned specific report codes. The automation script pre-populates the Vision sheet with the necessary IDs and codes. Step 3 involves data mapping and calculation logic. Intelligent matching occurs across the two source sheets. Dynamic calculations manage employer versus employee costs and account for employer max thresholds. Built-in checksums verify total costs against the source data. The final export and integration phase ensures seamless delivery. The script exports the processed data as a clean XLSX sheet. Automated filing saves this file to the correct monthly folder, ready for immediate import into the company's financial software. The project impact delivers operational excellence, resulting in significant time savings and eliminating countless hours of tedious work. Automation improves precision and accuracy, reducing human error. Finally, it ensures structural integrity by maintaining a searchable history of all monthly records.
So let's see how this works. We have a management tab, and in here we're going to run a script. First of all, let's take a look. We're going to run the first script, which is to create the monthly folders. We want to create a root folder to hold all this files, and then a monthly folder. We're going to run a script that does that. And let's start with that one. And what it ends up using is a copy of this same template right here. This sheet is the template. And when we run that first script, we're going to end up creating a set of folders in our Google Drive. So let's run that script, see what it does. We're going to create monthly folders, and we'll let that script run real quickly here. And while that script's running, we can take a peek here at what that script is doing. It's creating a root folder, creating these monthly folders inside of there, and it is then making a copy of that spreadsheet and putting it into each monthly folder. We can probably go to our Google Drive and go to my drive, and if I scroll down through here, I should start to see a 2026 Visions monthly upload folders created just now at 9:03. Let's open that up. Inside of there, I see that I have a January, February, March. There's finally our December folder, so that was still running. Let's come back here and see, okay, it finished. The 2026 folders created the template file. So let's take a look at what that looks like inside. The script created a root folder, and in each one of those month folders, and we can check each one of those. So let's take a look at the file here, and we can see it's written. My January has my root folder and all my information, so I can access that from the January folder as well. Okay, so now we see how we used the first script. We created our monthly folders, and we have a root folder with the monthly folders, and this file is copied into each root folder. And if I go back here, not only on my management sheet do I have access to the root folders, I also have access immediately to each file. Now, the second step on this is this roster. Now, what we have on this roster is a list of names and IDs, and I have them blacked out for confidentiality reasons. And what we're going to do is take a look in a moment at what this sheet is actually designed to do. So first of all, we have these two insurance forms that come in each month. And again, I've got a bunch of hidden rows because these sheets are very complex. They have a whole bunch of information that's not necessary. But what we're looking to gather is simply the amount that each employee spends on a medical plan. Now, this was complicated because the medical plans could be any one of these columns. And so that and the vision plans and the dental plans can be the sum of any one of these. And so in the script, we are summing these columns because they can only be in one, and that gives us what their medical rate is. And then as you scroll through here on this particular one, you can see their basic life and all these different premiums that have been paid for these people. And some of them are blank, but then you can see the total amount per employee that would have been paid. Well, that was one insurance sheet. The other insurance sheet is completely different. It's got a completely different set of products, and again, it's got an ID and a username and what their premium is. Again, a bunch of hidden rows. Now, these particular sheets come in each month and have to be adjusted. So if we go back to our roster sheet, one of our next scripts is going to create a. We're going to insert rows and codes because right now these usernames only have one name and one ID per row. And what we need for the import, I'm going to run this and I'll show you what it actually is going to look like. So I've run this script here, insert rows and codes. And what we have to take a look at is back here at the roster, there was one name, one ID, one row per name. And what this script did was create 23 rows for each user and filled in all of these headers because this is what the export file needs to look like, A through I. We're going to have another script that will export those columns. These are just checks and balances that let us know that our amount of money that we're having, that we're calculating out of here and here, are calculating properly into here. Okay, so the next step, the real purpose of this sheet, is to run all the mappings. And we can take a real quick look at that. Here's what our mappings look like. Consolidated mappings. We're calculating all of these OEBB, that's one of the sheets, and then down here we're calculating all of the other sheet. And this script is going to consolidate all that data here. So let's run that and show what it does. As we run that script, you can see that we're starting to get calculations for each user on what their actual amount is. Let me go ahead and run that out like that. And you can see for each user, it's giving the maximum and it's showing what their employer amount is for each one of these different types of things here. And as you can see, my checks and balances are running, and at the end of this calculation, those checks and balances should be equal to what we see over here. If I come to the very end of this, we have a total here of 73,082, and let's double check that, and 73,082 when that finishes running. And then this sheet, once this is finished calculating, and you can imagine how much time it would take to manually go through each user, find these different rows, and populate this sheet manually. And then it says it's finished, and the caps are completed. That's 73,082. Let's take a look at this sheet, and we can see that number is correct. And then we can take a look at this sheet, and I think we have a total here, and that number should be the same number that we see there. So we can see that those calculations are correct. And then finally, what this will do is export this sheet as an XLSX sheet, which is what needs to be imported into the financial software. So we'll go ahead and run that. And in this case, we want to put it in the January folder. So we'll go ahead and say that needs to be saved into January. We'll say OK to that. That script will run, and when it's finished, we should have an XLX sheet. OK, it's been saved into the January folder. So we can double check that. Let's go over here to our January folder, which, by the way, we can get to right here. We can open the January folder, and I have the actual sheet that we worked on for January, and I have this sheet that would have my calculations that need to go off to the Envisions import. So that's how it works. Thanks for watching.